Matt Daniels, it is a pleasure to finally meet, and it's great to have you on the Single Track podcast.
Thanks, Finn. Pretty stoked to be on, and yeah, glad to finally meet you here.
I do like setting some context for the event that you're about to compete in, and I think we should start with like just your trajectory in the sport, because as a fan, when I look at your career, really up until the pandemic, you were taking the sport by storm. You registered just some absolutely mind-boggling performances at Black Canyon. You had a great Western States. Um, can you talk about what you were going through, like during the pandemic and maybe through 2021, from like a mindset and an injury standpoint that kept you from being at your best?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the pandemic was pretty tough on everybody. I think that goes without saying, and not having the opportunities to race a lot was tough. And then, when we did have the opportunities to race, it was kind of a lot of pressure to really perform when those chances did come up. And so, I think like sometime November 2020, I decided to try and enter into JFK and get a race under my belt, and noticed I was having some heel pain. Kind of ran through it without thinking too much about it, and thinking, hey, I'll just kind of get through this race, and then probably not going to be racing again for a while. And the heel pain just got worse and worse, and yeah, couldn't figure out what was going on. Got a couple of diagnoses, a couple of wrong diagnoses, a couple of you know questionable diagnosis, and then turned out the last doctor I saw uh, ended up going in and doing surgery to kind of find out what was going on with it, and had a staph infection, and didn't find this out until after Western
Oh,
States 2021. And so, no idea how I got the staph infection. It was just something I was kind of running through and dealing with, and yeah, and I guess the tough part about staph infection is you think you get it all out, and it's cleared up and you're ready to go again. And there's about three different times, 2021 to basically this past April, where I thought I was good to go and I started running again, and then the staph would reappear, and I had to go back in for IV antibiotics or possible another surgery, and nearly lost my foot at one point. And it was just kind of it was a
oh
chaotic
my
process
gosh.
over the last 2 years, but in a good place now. Things are, knock on wood, I'm fairly healthy, and no heel pain, and getting back after it. So lost a good year of training, but in hindsight, um, you know, it's fine. That's how it goes. It's part of the sport. Injuries and these things are inevitable. So
Right. Well, I appreciate the insight, and you know, there's always a spectrum of how hurt an athlete is. In your case, you probably fall on the more severe side of the scale when you start thinking about words like amputation. But um, do you have any advice for athletes out there that are at your level of the sport, that might be dealing with a similar predicament, where at the very least they either can't race, or they're just logging performances that they know are below their ability? And I say that because we live in this world of like sponsorship, for example, where so many contracts are tied to performance and what you did yesterday.
mhm.
Um, so what advice do you have in that category, just having been through the experience yourself?
Yeah, definitely. It's important when you get into the sport and start competing at a high level to realize that injuries and setbacks they're going to be inevitable. It's going to happen at some point in your career, and you're going to have to take a significant amount of time off. And I think if you can go in with that mindset, knowing like, hey, it's going to happen at some point in my career, I'm ready for it when it does happen, and shift your focus to something else that is still related to what you're trying to accomplish. Like for me, when I was injured, I spent a lot of time really focusing on mindfulness, and it helped me throughout my injury, and kind of come to terms with my injury. But it was also something that kind of put me on a pedestal for when I did come back. I had this now in my arsenal. I could go into an ultra after maybe not getting in the training I wanted to, but I'm in a clear headspace and feeling good about it. And so I think it's important to try and work on things that maybe you neglect a little bit when you're not, or when you are training all the time. And that way, when you do come back and you do get over those injuries, you can just kind of get right back after it.
Moving on to the race, if I remember correctly, you were here last year doing at least a couple weeks of course recon, getting acquainted with Chamonix, and Obviously, you've spent a fair bit of this summer there. Before we get into like the X's and O's of how you're approaching everything, I'm curious what just generally attracts you to this race. Like, why CCC and not something else on your summer calendar, like a Leadville or a Western States? Talk us through your decision making process there.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of feel like it's the one thing I haven't kind of accomplished in my running career yet. I've been a miler and a track and road guy, and then got into the sport with short distance mountain running, and was on a couple of world teams doing that, and then made the jump into kind of the fast ultra US scene. And I've really wanted to, nail the European long distance ultra running scene. And you know, what better opportunity than the world's biggest stage, I think, with UTMB weekend. And Chamonix is such a cool place, and coming out here for UTMB weekend's neat because you see everybody, and it's kind of a little reunion. You see all your friends from all around the world that maybe I've met world championships in the past. Are out here now running CCC, kind of in the same point in their careers that I am. It's cool just to be out here and be around everybody and feed off that energy.
I'm curious what you think are your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to this course, and maybe talk about what you have done in training to, uh, double and triple down on the strengths, and maybe shore up any parts of the course that concern you.
Yeah, I don't think it's smart to come into this race, or UTMB or CCC for that matter, with any quote unquote strengths or weaknesses. I think you kind of need to be ready to do anything. I think you need to be ready to climb. You need to be ready to descend. You need to be ready to run fast on the flat parts. There's no moment in these races where, um, you know, I guess that, like, I can't get away. Maybe I can get away from somebody on a climb, but I'm going to get caught again on the descents. There's so many good guys, and the trail is just constantly up and down. It's important to be able to just manage all aspects of it. And so I've come in here as prepared as I can be for a little bit of everything. I'm historically not the best descender, but that's why I came out here early, is spend a lot of time getting used to these technical descents and fast descents. And I'd say that historically that's probably been my weakness, but right now I'm feeling pretty good with it. So yeah.
Given that you've had now at least, I guess it's 3 or 4 consecutive months of pretty consistent, solid training, where are you at fitness wise and confidence wise right now?
Yeah, that's tough to say. I was just actually talking. I'm out here rooming with Adam Mary, and we were just chatting the other day about
Oh
this.
yeah.
And I fitness wise, I feel fine. It's kind of crazy how quickly things came back around. And um, I've had a lot of good sessions out on the course here, feeling good about the terrain and that sort of thing. But the confidence part of it is something I've been struggling with. I'm confident in myself and my abilities, but I'm also, I guess, more nervous and kind of anxious to get back on starting line of such a big race, and getting after it. I think, yeah, that's something I think everybody at this level sort of thinks about a lot, like in a race. When, I mean, if you just look at the start list, it's insane. It's seeing guys like Jonathan Albon and what he's doing this year, and then I think to myself, like, God, I didn't do a run with 16,000 feet of vert in it last week, But I think just kind of going off of what I've done in the past and reminding myself I am capable of running with these guys, and just trying to
Right.
stay in it that way.
Are you somebody that gets like positively motivated by the competition around you, or are you someone that, regardless of what stage you're on and who's in it, you like to like run within yourself? Like, and I guess I asked that with wondering, like, where can we expect to see you in like the early and middle parts of the race as we're spectating?
Yeah, definitely. I don't even know yet how it's going to go, and how, what my race plan is going to be. I am somebody that likes to kind of feel things out and run within myself. And a lot of times I find that that puts me out in the front and competing. And that's where I'm comfortable at, is like, being with the leaders, and, putting my nose in it, whether I'm having a good day or a bad day. I'm just going to, usually kind of push the envelope a bit. So I have a feeling that's probably how it's going to go, but I've also really, like I said, I've done a lot of work on the course out here over the last few weeks, and I have a really good understanding of what it's going to take to run, sub 10:30, for example. I think usually will put you right up there in a podium spot. And yeah, I think to do that, you got to be a little bit cautious and careful early on too. So, um, yeah, I don't know. The competitive part of me wants to go and just be with those guys right at the beginning, and then part of me also wants to just be smart about it, and not go too crazy early on.
Last question, or I guess I have two questions for you. The first is, I mean, you and Adam are out there right now. You've been invested in Chamonix for a couple weeks now. Maybe even putting your coaching hat on for a second to analyze this. Do you see, as an elite athlete, do you see going out to Chamonix early to do recon, to train on the course as a necessity, or more on the spectrum of like a luxury where if you do it, that's great, but like you probably can replicate the work you need to do in a place like Boulder or the Wasatch or Mammoth Lakes or, the San Juans?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on that too. I'm starting to think it's more and more of a necessity as the races get more and more competitive. Um,
Hmm.
these trails are, they're very unique. I live in Colorado, and it's really hard to find anything as steep as the trails here in Chamonix, especially for as long as the ascents and descents are. So I think it is a necessity if you're really wanting to be competitive and up in the front. It's good to get out here and get the legs used to what they're going to experience on race day. With that being said, there's been guys that have managed to train in Colorado and come out here and do really well, or wherever they may be. It's just it takes a special person to be able to do that, and I think I feel more comfortable being out here. And it's also kind of nice. It's like a little retreat. You get away from um, everything you have going on at home and can just come out here and focus on the race itself, and that's nice too.
Mm. It's amazing how fast the sport's changing and how, yeah, once you start competing for like shaving off of minutes and seconds and stuff like that, those factors become more necessary. Like I rewatched the Billy Yang UTMB documentary like every year this time of year. And like, I'll need to be fact checked on this, but I'm pretty sure Zach Miller won CCC close to 12 hours. It was like high 11:30s maybe. And
Yep.
that wouldn't even put you in the top 20 like last
Mm-hmm.
year or probably this year. So it's just amazing like what you need to do now. You just mentioned like 10:30, sub
Mm-hmm.
10:30 is probably going to do it, but like things are changing. It's amazing.
It is, yeah.
Last question I have for you. I see you're wearing the Nike Trail shirt. You're sponsored by Nike. What
Mm-hmm.
shoes are you wearing on race day for this?
Yeah, I'll be in the new Nike Zagama that just came out. They just got released, and they shipped me a pair last week, and been able to get in some good runs on them. And God, they're awesome. They're super comfortable and can handle the technical terrain really well. So that'll be what I'm repping.
Awesome. Well, Matt, it's been great to chat. We'll make sure to link to all of your social media in the show notes. Anything else you want to leave the audience with before we go?
Uh, uh, Hopefully we can put on a good show and something you guys will enjoy watching. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, and appreciate everything you're doing, Finn. It's awesome, and you're changing the game. So appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, take care.